Welcome to the Rideshare Guy podcast, where you will learn about the rideshare and mobility industry, straight from Harry Campbell, who's got over 5 years experience covering the industry and has talked to thousands of drivers. There's no better place to stay up to date, entertained, and educated. So let's dive in.
Hi everyone, this is Scott Lieberman with the Rideshare Guy. We're here with Khaled Naim, CEO and co-founder of Onfleet. He and his two co-founders, Mikkel and David, started the company while he's pursuing his MBA at Stanford University's Graduate School of Business in 2012. Khaled, you grew up in London and Dubai, going on to study computer engineering at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Then you moved out to the West Coast in 2011, and now you're based in San Francisco. Did I get all that right?
Yep.
All right.
That's all true.
Welcome to the show. All right. So we have,
Thanks for having me, Scott.
yeah, it's great. We have a unique podcast in that we have an audience in the industry as well as drivers. So we're going to try to bring everyone into it. So if you could first kind of give us your elevator pitch, for the industry, let them know what Onfleet's about.
Sure. So Onfleet is a San Francisco-based technology company that develops a software platform for last mile delivery. So we help businesses manage everything from route optimization and dispatching to real-time driver tracking, proof of delivery, customer communications, and everything in between. And we provide comprehensive analytics and reporting to help our clients identify bottlenecks and scale more effectively. And we do all of this through a simple, intuitive web dashboard for the business, for the operations or logistics manager. And then there's driver apps for iOS and Android. It's worth noting that the drivers first need to be added by an employer that uses Onfleet in order to use the app. It can't just be downloaded and sort of used to find work, at least not yet. But we do have a free and open job board, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. And yeah, today, Onfleet has grown over the past few years to power millions of deliveries a month for thousands of companies around the world. So we have customers across many different countries and across a wide range of sectors. So our customers are, grocers delivering grocery and fresh produce, pharmacies delivering prescription medication, cannabis dispensaries, retailers, etc. We work with customers like Imperfect Foods, United Supermarkets, Capsule, Alto, Sweet Green, and many others. So yeah, that's a little bit about Onfleet. We're based in San Francisco, but we have a few offices around the world as well.
Okay, and what about for drivers? What should they know about Onfleet?
Yeah, so the driver apps are the sort of top rated. Drivers have always been at the forefront of our product development perspective from day one. We want to make drivers' lives easier and make their work less frustrating. We want them to be able to kind of get through their delivery routes faster and with less friction. So our driver apps are a testament to this. Thousands of reviews on each iOS and Android with 4.8 or 4.9 star average ratings. We have by far the best sort of in-class app for drivers. But like I said, they have to kind of be added by one of our employers first, and then they get a text message with a link to go and download the app. And once they've logged in, they can receive work from that employer, and they can actually log in with their phone number and work for different employers, different companies that are using Onfleet as their logistics software product.
Got it. So you're kind of behind the scenes. So if there's like a chain, let's say United Supermarkets or grocery supermarkets, and they want to deliver, you help them figure this out.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'd be, the backbone of their delivery operation, but very much behind the scenes. We do have a customer facing component, which is just automatic notification. So when the driver is kind of going about their day, starting and completing work through the app, the recipient is also being messaged automatically based on the driver's status and location. So they're ready and waiting when the driver shows up, again, to kind of help the driver move about their day more quickly. So the customer's there and ready because of that automatic notification. But aside from that, everything is very much sort of behind the scenes.
Okay. So you're all about making it more efficient. So there was one on the site here, a case study from United Supermarkets. It looks pretty cool here. So let us read the quote here from what United Supermarkets had to say about Onfleet. It says, Onfleet is a no-brainer for any serious delivery operation. We were able to not only increase our delivery capacity by 50% using their route optimization engine, that sounds like a lot, but also to improve on-time rates, makes customers happy, and customer satisfaction through accurate ETAs and real-time visibility. So I guess when I looked through the case study a little bit, it looks like they were trying to do things on their own through Google Maps, which Okay, so they needed a professional type of solution, right? They're only able to do like 2 deliveries an hour. How do we keep the food at the proper temperature, all that kind of stuff? So that sounds like a big job that you had to come in and handle over there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They were doing things kind of the old-fashioned way, and that's really the status quo in the industry. Folks are really using pen and paper, spreadsheets, phone calls, text messages, Google Maps to route quite a lot. And obviously, there are more efficient ways to do it. So as a business is really sort of ready to scale up and they want to plan routes more effectively, our route optimization engine can factor in delivery driver schedules, delivery windows, vehicle capacities, traffic data to automatically plan routes for the drivers to kind of have the most efficient routes possible. So United came along and were looking for a solution to start scaling their in-house operations up, and yeah, we've been working with them for about a year now, a little over a year, and have helped them scale their operation up.
So what's the size of a company, we have industry listening, that when does it make sense for them to partner with you? Like, when's a little too early, and when is it like, okay, this is the time that it makes sense?
Yeah, we see customers from a very broad range, from those that are just about to launch and sort of haven't even started an operation yet, to those that are already doing thousands of deliveries a day. And so we can help in both cases. We generally sort of, once a customer's operation is running, that's usually when we get involved, when they're doing, hundreds of deliveries a day and they want to scale to thousands or tens of thousands. And that's because, in the very early stages, it's conceivable to plan manually. And if you're getting tasks on demand, you can sort of use, repurpose chat apps and the like to manage an operation that's really sort of small and basic. But when a business is kind of going from hundreds to thousands is sort of usually when we get involved.
Got it. Okay. So I'm going to throw an idea out there that Harry's kind of talked about on Twitter, and it seems to be a problem. I don't know if this is something Onfleet would at some point tackle, or maybe you already have, where you have all these local restaurants, right? And they're kind of working with, these delivery companies. And, there's been a lot of press about how the delivery companies maybe take too much of a chunk out of their profits for like these independent restaurants. Is it possible for independent restaurants to like kind of group together and use a solution like Onfleet? Like if you got 10
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome, because see these smaller restaurants like in one neighborhood, but they can't afford a delivery driver, or they try to use these services and it's like it cuts too much. Or maybe it's like a few restaurants in a strip mall or something. So how would Onfleet help with that?
Totally. Yeah. So that's funny you mentioned that. Actually, in our neighborhood here, I live in near North Beach in San Francisco, between sort of Russian Hill and North Beach, and there's a company that just popped up out of nowhere in the past few weeks to help restaurants, local restaurants that are all really independents. They don't really have chain restaurants in North Beach here, and it is sort of, they created this fleet to do deliveries locally in the neighborhood for these restaurants during this crisis. And they came and started using Onfleet recently, and I didn't even know about this, but it's that's just one example, and obviously the restaurants themselves could. And maybe it is sort of a group of restaurants that are doing this together, but that's certainly doable. I mean, it would take some coordination. Obviously, they could, they'd have to hire a pool of drivers, or even just start with one driver and then get them onto Onfleet. But then they would need to sort of manage that driver's task list, and so all of it can be automated. We have a very robust API, so anyone with some technical chops can build an integration where, as orders are coming in, they're just automatically assigned to the driver that's closest to that restaurant, for instance, and they can set that up very easily.
Okay, so we'll put it out there. If you're a restaurant looking for an alternative, this might be it. Okay. Speaking of drivers, you have something called the Onfleet Driver Job Board. Maybe you could tell drivers a bit about that. Yeah,
so early on in when the coronavirus sort of pandemic started, we identified pretty quickly that there was this gap in our customer base. Some were hit very hard by the pandemic, B2B businesses primarily, so catering, laundry and dry cleaning and the like. But there were obviously, and there were obviously many folks sort of losing jobs in other sectors as well that were looking for gig work. And meanwhile, most of our clients were actually experiencing a significant surge in demand. driven by shelter-in-place orders, shutdown of restaurants, et cetera. And so this kind of differential was a clear sign for us to connect these dots. We sort of sat in the middle. And so we just quickly kind of scrambled together and put out a free and open job board, which can be found at onfleet.com/drivers, to match those looking for delivery drivers with those looking for work. And it's really quite simple. Anyone can sign up for either side of that equation, customer or not. We have a few dozen companies signed up, I think around close to 40 companies and about 500 drivers that have signed up already in the past few weeks.
Excellent. And speaking of the pandemic, this looked really cool, so I wanted to bring it up. OnFleet's donating its last mile delivery software to first responders and turning food banks into delivery companies. I mean, that sounds incredible. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we've obviously donated our software free of charge to dozens of companies across a few different, a few countries around the world. We're helping with transportation of PPE. We're working with Get Us PPE there and a few other organizations on that front, as well as food drives. So we're working with, the SF Marin Food Bank, the New York City Department for the Aging, and other organizations here to get produce, groceries, or meals out to those that need it most. Seniors, those with disabilities that can't really sort of leave the house, and obviously to homeless shelters as well. So, really we're just playing a small role. I mean, the folks on the ground are doing all the work. It's kind of the least we can do to try and help how we can during these challenging times. But it was kind of a no-brainer at the beginning. It was just like, okay, what can we do to help? And that was, we started getting this influx of nonprofits and just folks kind of, even just individuals just putting together donation drives and things that we felt like we could really help them scale those operations out more effectively. And today, thousands of deliveries a day are being powered by OnFleet for these purposes. So it's been really exciting to be able to help.
So would it be something where there's like a Meals on Wheels and this kind of makes it more efficient to like get the most meals to the most people in the quickest amount of time? Is that right?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So it's, those types of food drives that and they can plan the routes using OnFleet. They get the work out to their volunteer driver force using OnFleet. So the drivers are all using the OnFleet app to kind of go about their day doing these deliveries, and it allows them to track, where everything's going, what's going on every step of the way, and to see, post fact, like all the analytics and the data to identify bottlenecks and to be able to just operate much more efficiently, because these folks are seeing unprecedented demand for what they're doing. So they've never operated at this kind of scale before, and so they needed quite a bit of help to scale up efficiently.
Right. Okay. I mean, that sounds great. I'm glad you guys are able to do that and doing it. Let's talk a little bit about, I guess, your outlook on the future of the industry and what OnFleet's place is in it. And for me, this is fun because I like conjecturing about what might happen in the future. Everyone's thinking about that now, especially like changing culture, but also just like how you think this space is going to look like maybe a couple of years, 10 years.
Sure. Yeah. So we're obviously strong believers in the power of a great experience to enhance the customer journey and to retain and acquire new customers. This evolution in retail started several years ago, largely driven by Amazon and to some extent by kind of the new direct-to-consumer retail upstarts, and to a certain degree by even Uber driving this sort of on-demand expectation. And I think this is still just the beginning. But the coronavirus pandemic obviously acted as a kind of the ultimate catalyst that accelerated this reaction and this transition in retail. So, we started a few years ago. We launched OnFleet in 2015. So it's still just the beginning. And we know that we have a really important role to play here in helping retailers figure it out in order to succeed in this new world. And we're excited to be working with so many retailers to do so. We're sort of, the way we see OnFleet long term is we're building the operating system for local delivery. And today is a very powerful platform, but there's so much more that we want to do. And particularly on the driver side of the equation, we're really excited to sort of be able to help drivers find work, to enjoy their work, and to make a living. And there's lots more to come here.
I like it's an operating system for local delivery. So a couple things come to mind. So it seems like there's a triple-headed monster like Amazon, Walmart, Target, like they do all the delivery. What about like the local places? What about smaller places? How are they going to compete with, free delivery, 2-hour delivery, same-day delivery, right? Does OnFleet kind of help with that answer in the coming years?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, we're here as one of the kind of infrastructure providers to retailers to help them compete. It's difficult for everyone to compete on that level. It takes a lot of investment. If you don't have tools like OnFleet, it takes a lot of effort to deliver that kind of a customer experience that consumers have sort of grown to expect. And so we make it easier, us and along with other providers in different areas across sort of the retail chain and the supply chain. We're helping these folks to be able to compete.
Let me throw two more future possible things at you. I used to know a guy, he delivered organs, like kidneys and what, in his car, like the hospitals, or somehow there was an arrangement. He like had an organ in a cooler. It was like crazy. He was like the Uber of organ delivery or something. Very important job. I'm like, this doesn't look like the most professional way to do this. Is there a future here for OnFleet or someone in this space to be like, we need this, very important life-saving things delivered? Like you said, PPP is a start of it. Is there?
I don't know for sure, but I'd venture to say that we do have some folks delivering organs today on OnFleet. We do have quite a bit of medical type deliveries going on. I know it's primarily prescription medication, but we do have blood deliveries happening as well through a partner called Blood Hub and a customer called One Blood. So I know that it's happening, and I know that there are also like testing samples that are being moved around using OnFleet. But organ, I can't say for sure, but I'd venture to guess that yes, we are also moving organs around.
So this is not just already. People getting there like, apples and oranges. This could be life-saving stuff.
It's not, right? Yeah. It could be life-saving stuff. I mean, we do, food and beverage combined. We have grocery, prepared meals, fresh produce, meal kits, alcohol. That comprises our largest, and restaurant, of course, our largest sort of overall segment. But we also do a lot of pharmacy and cannabis. We do a lot of other sectors as well. It's really not just, the grocery, but everything from electronics and clothing. We work with Gap, to auto parts. We work with Napa Auto Parts, data with Cora Data, sort of document shredding services, all kinds of things. Really, we focus on any time a business is moving goods around locally, sort of average sub 5-mile ranges. Chances are OnFleet can help.
Awesome. Okay. This kind of, I love it. Like it just sounds like a more efficient way to operate with this less kind of, I guess, professional careers kind of a thing. I grew up in New York City. It's like kind of in Manhattan. There's always like these guys on bicycles delivering everything kind of to save time. This is like, can bring this to every city, except maybe in a more efficient way. Now you can obviously bring it in vehicles a lot more than you can on bicycles. But the idea has been around for a long time, but this is kind of bringing like data science into it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and we work with couriers on bikes as well, and many other forms of transportation, even walkers in Manhattan and such. But we also were able to connect businesses looking for those couriers with those providers. So we have a feature within the platform called Connections, which allows a retailer or business to outsource deliveries to those providers that are using OnFleet. So if a delivery provider is in our network, because they're using OnFleet, we're able to send work their way through merchants and retailers that are looking to outsource.
Got it. I'll throw one more feature thing at you, because this is one that I think about a lot and bugs me. Transportation. So like everyone's like mass transit's the way to go, blah, blah, blah. But there's always that last mile problem, right? So I'll give you a couple examples. Like in New York, there's the Long Island Railroad. You bring people from the suburbs into Manhattan, for people who don't know, but you still have to drive if you live in the suburbs and park your car in that little lot for the railroad. And in South Florida, where I am now, they just built something called the Bright Line. I think Virgin took it over. And they're trying to connect Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, maybe even Orlando. But the problem is if you don't live within walking distance of the place, obviously, now you're either driving there or you're taking Uber or Lyft. But I don't know if they really have this figured out, like that last mile problem. Is there a way for OnFleet or someone in this space to eventually figure this out, to make mass transit something where it's like, because by the time some people drive to the train station, they're like, I might as well have driven to my destination, right? That's kind of the issue.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it's reminding me of in Dubai also. Like I grew up in Dubai, and I go back there frequently. My parents are still there, and they built this like monorail that goes from one side of the city to the other, all the way across, but it doesn't go laterally, towards the water, I guess. And so to get there or to get from there, you have to take a taxi. So it kind of, I think, reduces the value, and to some extent, I wouldn't say it eliminates, it defeats the purpose, but it does reduce the value to some extent. And I think that final leg or the first leg, I mean, when it comes to delivery, that's where we sort of focus, is usually it's like between the warehouse or a distribution center or a store and the consumer. And what happens, before that, during the middle mile, we don't really get involved, sort of like, B2B distribution and freight. But I don't know. So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting problem. I've always felt like, I think in the future there will certainly be a role for ride sharing there, continuing. I think drivers will, what we're seeing in some of these places is Uber and Lyft folks kind of shuttling people to these where they're then taken for the longer distance journey, or from those hubs to the ultimate destination. So yeah, I think that's certainly, an area that we'll see continued activity from the rideshare companies.
Got it. Okay, and I guess to wrap it up, thank you again for being on here. If you could talk about, I guess, some of the biggest challenges OnFleet faces right now, I guess, for growth or just things you're seeing. Every business has challenges, obviously. So what is out there for you guys and you're working on now?
Yeah. For us, it's always, I mean, now, obviously with COVID, it's been challenging to sort of, for everyone on the team to be, as collaborative as we were when we're in the office, to have routines like we used to. It's sort of, thrown everything out the window in a way, and just like made things, it's just everything is a little bit different. So it's taken some adjusting. I think we're there now, and hopefully, it won't be too long before we're back in the office. But that's been challenging, and we're still growing the team, and hiring when everyone is remote is a challenge as well. But one that we're pretty used to. I mean, our team is about a third remote. So we've been lucky in that we have had the processes and the workflows to support a fully remote workforce. But it is a little lonely. I'm sure everyone's in sort of the same boat where, we're not seeing people very much, and just kind of waking up and rolling out of bed and sitting at the desk and working from home. I think that currently is the challenge. But yeah, long term, it's always just growing the team, hiring the best people that we can possibly hire to kind of to grow and to continue, to help us build the company. Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Khaled. If anyone wants to learn more, check out onfleet.com, doing some really cool things, and check out those case studies. For me, looking at those, like, kind of brought it to light, the stuff that you guys do. And yeah, awesome work. And thanks for hopping on.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Take care.
And as always, you can check out show notes, subscribe to our email, get notified of all the new articles and podcasts over on therideshareguy.com. And as always, contact me if you have any questions. Shoot me an email, harry@therideshareguy.com, or reach out to me on social media @therideshareguy. All right. Thanks for joining me on today's ride, and we'll chat again next time.